right, let's start. So, hi everyone. Welcome to my workshop on harmony. Just want to apologize in advance because I've never had any formal instruction on this topic, and this is just from what I've learned in the past couple of weeks. So, it might be lacking in some materials, but what I decided to focus on in this workshop, I think will give you guys the tools to then go on and do some more reading if you want to learn about harmony yourselves. And so the reason why I have a picture of a color palette in the background on this first slide is because harmony in music is what provides the mood, is what provides the textural colors in music. Because you can take one melodic line and then really change its feeling and like its mood and its intention with the different kinds of harmonies that you use underneath that melody. So it's a very versatile tool in making music. Okay. So major and minor scales. I wanted to start off here because tonal harmony is built off and hinges on this succession of notes and the succession of patterns of whole steps and half steps. And so many of you might be familiar with the major and minor scale patterns, but I just wanted to dedicate a slide to this because one, this highlights the names and which also alludes to the functions of the different steps in the scale. And this slide also shows the Roman numeral designations of the different steps in the scale. So, right, in the major scale, we have the tonic, which is the home key. The second scale degree, oh, that's the term I was looking for, is known as the supertonic, and then followed by the mediant, the subdominant, dominant, the submediant, the leading tone, and then comes back to the tonic. And so I'll go ahead and play these scales for you guys on the piano just so you can hear what it sounds like. And I want y'all to pay attention to and really listen to where the half steps are placed in comparison to the whole steps, right? So in the major scale, the pattern goes whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So here we go. I don't hear anything on my end, so let me know if you guys can't hear anything. Okay, so that was just a C major scale following this pattern. And now, so here on this slide, I only have the harmonic minor scale notated, but there's actually 3 different kinds of minor scales, but for our purposes, the harmonic minor scale is more important. And this is distinguished from the natural minor scale, which has a lowered 3 in comparison to the major scale, and then a lowered 6 and a lowered 7 scale degree. Except in the harmonic minor scale, the scale is exactly the same as in the natural minor scale, but there is the 7th scale degree is raised up, and this allows for when we're taking chords and triads from this kind of scale, it provides us with the triad whose function leads to the tonic. So the reason why the leading tone is raised is because, so in the 5th, the triad built off of the dominant scale degree then becomes a G major scale, and that can lead to the tonic. But well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, let me play this for you guys. Great. Okay, let me bring my mouse back. Okay. So switch slides. So diatonic, harmony, and triads. The term diatonic means notes within a key signature. So all of these triads and harmonies are going to be built off of the notes that you'll find in the key signature either. So in these examples, it's C major, or in the lower example, it's C minor with 3 flats. And so a triad is a chord formed by 3 tones in successive thirds, right? And the lowest tone is called the root. The middle tone is the third, and the top tone is the fifth. And so I wanted also to play the chords in these scales. Let me see. And so in the top right corner, I have a little picture of the 7 dwarves, and I thought that was a cute analogy to the triads in these scales, because each triad is assigned a certain quality of sound, and that's actually represented in the Roman numeral analysis underneath, right? So the triad built off of the tonic in C major is a C major triad. And so this Roman numeral is capitalized. Then the triad built off of the second scale degree. So right, like we said, these triads are built off of a series of sequential thirds from the root note. So in this one, the tonic is a D now, and a third above that in C major scale is an F natural, and a third above that is an A natural. And so this has a minor quality of sound, and that's designated by lowercase letters in Roman numerals. So let's hear the difference between a major and a minor triad. Let me see. So that was a major triad, and I'm just gonna go ahead and play the minor triad from the C minor scale, the first of the tonic. So let's listen to that again. Right, it's major. And then we lower the third, which alters the quality of the sound of the triad to minor. And so in the natural major and minor scales, the different qualities of sound that you hear in these triads are mostly comprised of major, minor, and then one diminished key. And so in the major key, the 1, the 4, and the 5 triads are major. The 2, 3, and 6 chords are minor, and then the 7th triad is diminished. So we heard what major and minor sound like. Now let's listen to a diminished triad. Let's see. I'm gonna play the one that you see here on the screen. So that's a triad built off of a B. Let's see. Right. So I didn't get to hear the triad with you guys, but I know this this quality of sound sounds very dissonant. and there's a lot of conflict in between the sounds of these notes. And this triad in particular is important because it wants to resolve to the tonic. So here, let's listen to what that sounds like going from the 7th to the 1. Oh, hang on. Great. And so in the minor scale, the quality of the triads are as follows. The 1 and the 4 triads are minor. The 2, the 6, and the 7 triads are diminished. And the 3 and 5 triads are major. Okay. All right, so now that we've become familiar with the different kinds of triads in the major and minor scales, I just wanted to have another slide comparing the 4 different types of triads. So in the previous slide, we only heard 3 of the different types. That was major, minor, and diminished. And you'll see in this slide that they're designated in lead sheet symboling by so the major is capital CM, and then the minor is C lowercase m. The diminished triad is notated by a little degree symbol next to the name of the key. And then the fourth type, the augmented triad, is notated by a little plus sign to the right of the name of the key. So let's go through each 4 types of triads. So this is the major scale. Just a little reminder. Here's the minor triad. Now, the diminished triad consists of, oh, sorry, I should have gone through this with the last 2, but I'll just make it, I'll just notate it now, right? That all of these triads are built off of the root, a 3rd and a 5th, but the alteration occurs in the raising or the lowering of the 3rd and 5th degrees. And so in the diminished 3rd and the 5th are lowered a half step. So that sounds like this. And the augmented triad is then the 3rd scale degree is major, and the 5th is raised a half step and called an augmented 5th. Okay, and so this augmented triad kind of sounds like, I think anyway, it has this kind of like space odyssey quality of sound. Man, I wish I could have heard it with you guys, but let me see. And actually, okay, let's see. Oh yeah, so the inversion of the triads. This will, oh, actually no, it won't, but the triads can be inverted by bringing up the root of the triad to the top, and so then the lowest note in the group of 3 becomes the 3rd. That's the first inversion. And then the second kind of inversion is when the 5th becomes the base of the triad, and you have, let's see, the 5th, right, is the second inversion. Okay, yes. So let's listen to that. Let me see. So this is a C major triad. in the root position. Now this is that same triad, but in first inversion. And then if you make, if you make the fifth of the triad the bass, that's in second inversion. And okay, this, and I think it's interesting to point out that simply rearranging the different arrangement of how the three notes that comprise the triad are played, creating different intervals. So in the first inversion, rather than having stacks of thirds, you have a third and then a third from the root and a sixth from the root. And then in the second inversion, this becomes a fourth from the root and a sixth from the root. Oh, but yeah, so I think it's really interesting that just changing the order of these notes really changes the sound in the triad. I know I can't remember which one it is, might be the second inversion, but compared to, here, let's play it. Compared to the first and from the root position, the G, C, E, okay. The second inversion, I think, has a more open sound. And I think this has to do with the fact that the interval, the first interval from the root is a more open interval. It becomes a fourth rather than a third, which you heard in the previous two inversions. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I have an example of an augmented chord. I really like how these sound, so okay, let's, just to jog your memory, this is what an augmented chord sounds like. All right, so let me play this clip. This is a clip from, well, this is actually a clip of a performance of Mahler's 7th Symphony. But I'm just gonna play a little bit of the end. And I want you to listen for the chord right before the end. Right before the end, Mahler goes, I think he is in C major at the end. And then right before he decides to finish the piece, he plays an augmented chord, which really gives this piece, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but I've never seen the Star Wars films, but it makes me think of Star Wars. And it just kind of has this very like expansive, like nighttime mood to it. So let me play. I'm gonna play from 1 minute and 11 seconds. Okay. Just gonna let it load. And let me know if you guys can hear it. Oh, oops. I paused it. I'm sorry. Hang on. I'm gonna guess it was right around here. Great, okay. I hope you guys heard it because I didn't. Let's see. Okay, I really took any opportunity to include a Mahler clip in here. He's my favorite composer. But okay, great. So, right, following that same building of chords, right, of constructing them from a series of thirds, this leads to the diatonic seventh chords. All right. So, and these seventh chords are important because they're regularly used in popular harmony. And so here I listed out the different types, the seventh chords attributed to the C major scale and the A minor scale. And in the C major scale, the seventh chords have the following quality. So the 1 and 4 chords are major seventh chords. Let's go ahead and play one of those. That's a major seventh chord. Wait, yes, yes. Which I think has a very sweet and soothing sound to it. Now, so and the 2, 3, and 6 chords are minor seventh chords. Let's play one of those. That's the 2. Let's see. That was a minor seventh chord. The 5 chord is a dominant seventh chord. Let's listen to that. And the 7th chord is a half diminished 7th chord. Okay, let's listen to that. D, F, and great. And the minor scale also has similar similar chords, but just arranged in a different pattern. Let's see. So for the minor key, the 1 chord is a minor major 7th chord. Okay, we actually haven't listened to that, so let's listen to that. A, C. Great. Okay, I'm so happy that I've been able to play all of the chords that I've presented so far, because when I was playing with the keyboard earlier, I know I think I'm going to come across some chords where the keyboard just won't let me play some notes simultaneously, but I think it's been working out so far. All right. The 2 in the minor key, the 2 and the 6 chords are half diminished 7th chords. The 3 chord is a major 7th chord, right? We call the tonic from the major scale. The 4 chord is a minor 7th chord. The 5 chord is a dominant 7th chord. And the 7 chord is diminished. And these all have some notation that's conventional to writing parts. So, right, we said the 2 and the 6 chords are half diminished 7th chords, and that's notated by the slashed scale degree. And the 7th chord built off of the 7th scale degree in the minor scale is a diminished 7th chord, and that's notated by a little degree symbol in a 7. Okay. Okay. And so similarly to the the diatonic triads, which we analyzed earlier, the seventh chords can also be altered. The quality of their sound can be altered. And I won't go through all of these, but I'll just play a couple. Also, yeah, I'm just gonna take a quick drink of water. All right. Okay, so let's listen to this first one. On the top left is a major seventh chord. Right, which is built off of a root, which is C, a third, a major third, which is E, then a fifth, G, and then a major third above that G, B. You can alter the sound of these chords by either raising no, actually, I think so. The major seventh chord is on one extreme of the scale, and so you can lower the fifth scale degree and make this just a seventh. Wait, maybe I'll to a dominant seventh chord, which sounds like this. And then a minor seventh chord retains that lowered seventh scale degree, but now we lower the third scale degree as well. That sounds like that. Okay, I'm not sure if that came across. And then if you lower the fifth scale degree, then that becomes half diminished. Okay, yeah. C, E flat, G flat, B flat. Okay, great. C, E flat, G, and A. Okay, and I think if you lower then the seventh scale degree one more half step to an A, right? We're playing a B flat before, then the quality becomes diminished, and that sounds like this. Let me see, C, 3, 5. Okay. Similar alterations can be done with the other scale degree seventh chords, right? Like you see from this schematic that I have right here, the minor second, third, and sixth, seventh chords can be altered to the major, dominant, half diminished, or diminished quality. And now this, because we're starting from a minor seventh, there's room to raise scale degrees, and so raise it to a major seventh. Can you guys see my mouse? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, to a major seventh, and then right, lowering the seventh scale degree, but keeping the third major becomes just a dominant seven. Then lowering the fifth makes it a. Oh, okay, right. So that we're in the key of C. So all of these accidentals that you see here aren't applied to the following chord. And so this one is a half diminished because we have a minor third, a minor seven, and a flat fifth. And you can go on with this analysis to do the same thing with other seventh chords. Oh, let's go back here. Great. Okay. So here are some additional chords that you can use and include them into your composing toolbox. Let's see. And again, so I didn't even mention that you can invert seventh chords too. But so really there's a very wide range of different chords that you can employ when you're at the keyboard and feel like composing. So okay, so let's listen to a C suspended 4 chord. Let's see. No, actually, let's start with the major 6th. Okay. Done. Okay. Then a minor 6th, which is that same chord, but now with a, oh, wait, sorry. Okay, so yeah, the major 6th is built off of a root, a major 3rd, a 5th, and then the 6th scale degree. That's the one that you just heard. And so then now the minor 6th chord is the root, a minor 3rd, a 5th, and the 6th scale degree. And okay, let's listen to a major 9th chord. Now this one is comprised of the C major triad, a root, a major 3rd, and the 5th, with the 9th scale degree, which is a D. Now the minor triad has the major, a lower 3rd. Nice. Okay, and then now let's listen. So I think this is one of the chords that I wasn't able to play earlier. So this is a C sus4. Wait. I'll just break it up. Okay. Great. Okay, so let's see. So all of these chords that we've listened to thus far, most of them before we started altering some of the scale degrees, can all be built off of the notes that you'll find in that major or minor scale, hence the diatonic, triads, and 7th chords. And one thing that I didn't include in this presentation are the chromatic chords, but I think we got to hear a couple of those in the alterations of the 7th chords. And right, so that's when you have to start writing in accidentals in the sheet music, the chromatic chords, because those include notes that are not present in the key signature in which you're playing. All right. So here in this slide, I want to talk about functional diatomic harmony, right? So as we've seen throughout this presentation, each triad and 7th chord that we've listened to had a particular quality of sound. You know, some were major, some had more dissonance, and those were the diminished or the augmented chords. They kind of had more of this scary, troublesome, like apprehensive, dark quality of sound to them. But you can really change, so when you insert these chords and these triads into music and have them follow or come before different triads, the function that they serve in the music can be drastically different. And so here's a schematic that I took from theartofcomposing.com. And you can read more about this in this link that I have right here. But so basically this kind of summarizes some of the basic functions that the different triads and the different chords that we've listened to already from the major scale on the right, no, sorry, on the left. Wow, yeah, sorry, I do not know my right and my left, so I got this, flipped this on my presentation slide, but I think this one on the left is actually the major, the chord progression for the major scale, and the one on the right is the one for the minor scale. But as you'll see, they're actually pretty similar. So, okay. So what you'll read on this link is, right, this link talks about 3 types of functional harmony. And the first type that it mentions is the tonic harmony. And so, as you might guess, the tonic, when you move from or come back to the tonic, it gives the music a sense of either tension when you move away from it, or when you come back to it, it gives it a sense of resolution and a sense of coming back to home. And that function can be fulfilled by either the tonic, right, which is the home, the bass key of the scale that you're playing in, or it can also be fulfilled by the sixth chord. And then the next type of function is the dominant function. And so this serves to allude to or to anticipate the tonic key. That's why that's why these arrows are present in this schematic. So when you go from the dominant chord, this creates some tension and it wants to resolve to the tonic. That's why you have these solid arrows. A similar function can be fulfilled by the diminished seventh, as I think we listened to that earlier in this section, right? Just because as you're going through the scale, as you're going through a major scale, the seventh scale degree is the leading tone, and it just naturally it wants to resolve onto the tonic. So the 7 diminished and the dominant chord fulfilled this function. And now the subdominant is another one that the schematic lays out, and this serves okay. This serves to prepare the dominant. So the way that you use this schematic is you can start on the tonic and you can move along these different chords in any from left to right from the tonic. But then once you arrive at, say, the subdominant, this predominant function right here, right, the movement that you want to go to is to the right because it prepares you for the dominant. And then from the dominant, you can move following these dashed arrows back to the predominant, and then circle back to the dominant, and then move back to the tonic. So from my understanding, that's how you use this schematic. And so we can have a similar conversation about the one on the right, but I think that pretty much summed that up. And okay, let me see. So in the next slide, I have a clip from Mahler's Sixth Symphony because it from the very beginning of this symphony, it actually follows this schematic pretty well. No, sorry, it goes from the 1 to the 6, and then I believe then it goes to the 7, and then comes back to the 1. So I wanted to include this as an example so you guys can hear it. And so I had it notated down here, but I'm not too well versed. I'm not a seasoned analyzer of music and chords yet. So I think I can say with certainty that, right, we start on the 1 because this is an A minor, and you'll hear the cellos just playing these repeated eighth notes, which give the music a march-like sound. And then from right into the second bar, Mahler introduces some of the rest of the orchestra, and he goes into the 6th, which into the 6th chord, which gives this this music a kind of like a propelling kind of feel, and it gives the music motion. It gives the music motion like of moving forward with anticipation and with heed. So let's listen to that. And so in the following bars after the second, Mahler raises the top line chromatically until he arrives at the tonic again. But that's not on this page. That's in the second page of the score. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll let it load for a little bit. Okay, I couldn't hear that, but judging by the bowing from the violinist, I think you guys heard the first 8 or so bars. And I hope, I'm not sure if you guys would like to listen to that again, but right, I hope you guys heard that he moved from the tonic then to the 6th and so on. Okay. So let me see. Now another what would be the right word for this? Okay, voice leading. So there are rules to voice leading, and there's a lot more to this. Not sure what, like, thinking of a word, but I can't think of it now. There's more rules than what I have here on this slide. So if you want to read more about voice leading, especially if you want to write a score in 4 voices, you can read more about that on musictheory.pugetsound.edu. But some of the tools of this trade that you'll read on this site are the types of motion that you can have in writing for different parts. And so, right, this comes now after our discussion of the different chords and the function that they serve in harmonic progressions. So now if you want to write a melody above the harmony, this is where you would look into next for voice leading. And this lends itself to harmonic progressions too, because as you move intervallically in the bass, that will set up a new key sometimes. So the types of motion that you can have in voice leading are contrary motion, right? And so right here in this example, in the bass, it moves up a third, and in the top register, it moves down. Oblique motion is when you don't have any movement in the top register, but you have either ascending or descending motion in the lower register. Similar motion is when both of the voices either ascend or descend. And then parallel motion is when they ascend or descend by the same interval. And so some other rules to voice leading are these ones. So the tendency tones, right? Like I said before, the leading tone in the scale is the 7, and that just wants to resolve onto the tonic, or the 8. And then, oh, oops, I forgot, I didn't finish this. 4 goes to 3. So that's, I believe we said that was the subdominant, and that wants to go to the median, this 3rd scale degree. Avoid augmented intervals. Now this site takes from a specific volume of music by Bach, right? And so this is not outdated, but this is a good start, because I know that other composers after Bach broke the rules to writing music, but so this is just a good start if you really want a good foundation in writing music. And so then the 3rd rule is large interval leaps and diminished intervals should change direction after the leap. And the 4th is sequential leaps should outline a triad. And again, these aren't absolutes, but they're just good guidelines to follow if you're barely starting to write music. Okay, and so in my last slide, I have, in my last slide, I wanted to show a clip of a Beethoven quartet. This is the slow movement of Beethoven's Opus 132. And I know this movement is written in the Lydian mode, which is an alteration to the regular major scale. My knowledge in music doesn't go that far, but the reason why I wanted to show this example is because it actually has some of the rules that we listed before, right? And so, like right from the start, large interval leaps and diminished intervals should change direction after the leap. Beethoven does this. He leaps a 6th at the beginning on the 1st violin, and then it changes direction and settles on a G in the next bar, right? And this is a type of maybe canon, right? Because the same intro is repeated by all of the different voices. Now let me see. What was another rule that we said? So the 4 goes to 3 tendency tones. Right here, let me see. In the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th bar, the 4th scale degree in C major, right? He moves to an E. That's a tendency tone, I think. And now I didn't get a chance to analyze this with the types of motion, but let's see. Anyway, I think I'll just go ahead and play this now, just so you can listen to the beginning. Okay. The way to start is around here. Great. I would really encourage you all to go and listen to the rest of this movement because it's really beautiful. It's this kind of somber would be kind of like reverent chorale beginning is then broken up by these like joyous and like rejoicing of life sections that you see down here in the Andante. But I'm not going to play it for you. And then Beethoven comes back to like this kind of chorale, this chorale type music in between. But yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I know this was a little bit, well, I hope you guys learned a little bit of, at least a little bit in harmony, and maybe can just build off from what I've presented today.